Okay, we can start. Am I on? Okay. Well, greetings, everybody. People who are in-house and those people who are in YouTube land. We're here for Friday night service, and as you can tell, if you tuned in to see Rabbi Silverman, you will be disappointed. Rabbi Silverman is in California at a wedding, at a family wedding, and so he's left you in my hands. And so we are going to do the service tonight. I've enlisted a number of friends, singers, to help us with some of the musical numbers. And so I'm hoping that you will enjoy the service tonight. So we're going to start out with Ma Tovu on page 101 of the Siddur. And this is the little prayer that one utters upon entry into the synagogue. And just to translate it for you, how lovely are your dwellings, Jacob, your sanctuaries, people of Israel. And Danny Mays will help sing it for us.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Israel, bani berov chasecha, avo beitecha, eshtachave lecha al kodshecha, leiratecha, ma tovu, ma tovu. Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Adonai ahavti me'on beitecha umekom mishkan kevodecha mishkan kvodecha vani eshtachaveh Ebrecha lifnei Adonai osi ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. ותפילתי לך, אדוני את רצון, אלוהים ברוב חסדך, אלוהים ברוב חסדך, הריני באמת אישך, מה טוב.
So now that we've entered the synagogue, we're going to ask the angels to come see us and help us out. So we're going to turn to page 5 for Shalom Aleichem, and let's sing along with Debbie Bletstein.
ישראל עמך תשים לעולם שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם כי טוב אדון לכל השלום כי טוב אדון לכל השלום שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל בשלומך שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם תשים לעולם תשים לעולם.
That was misplaced. That was Shalom Rav, which is the last bracha of the Amidah. And so we're getting ahead of ourselves, obviously. So let's turn to page 5 and sing Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Bahuni L'Shalom, Malach HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Zekem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Well done, guys. Let's turn to page 11 for Lehu Neranina, where the first stanza is, "Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God, raising our voice in song." And Craig Taubman will help us with this one.
Lechu, lechu, neranena, neranena, ladonai naria, naria, tzur yishenu. Lechu, lechu, neranena, neranena, ladonai naria, naria, tzur yishenu. Anekamafanav, v'todav, zmirot naria lo. 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 Lechu, lechu, neranena, neranena, ladonai naria, naria, tzur yishenu. Lechu, lechu, neranena, neranena, ladonai naria, naria, tzur yishenu. Anekamafana, v'todav, zmirot naria lo. 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 Anekamafana, v'todav, zmirot naria lo.
So let's finish reading this psalm in English. Great is Adonai, a greater sovereign than all other deities. God's hands formed the earth's deep. Mountain crests too are God's work. The sea is God's, for God made it. Dry land was fashioned by God's hands. Come then, let us bow and kneel. Let us bend our knees in the presence of Adonai who formed us. For Adonai is our God, and we are God's flock, sheep in God's caring hands. If only you would listen today to God's voice and not become hard-hearted like the people at Meribah, like that time at Massah in the desert, when your ancestors tried me and tested me, though they had seen what I had wrought. For 40 years I was troubled by that generation, and I said, these are a people whose hearts have gone astray. They do not know my way. So in anger, I swore they would not enter my rest. So God becoming a little forceful there. So let's turn to page 20. For Romamu, it's the last three lines on the Hebrew side at the arrowhead. And Craig Calvin is also going to sing Romamu. So this is exalt Adonai our God and bow down at God's holy mountain, for Adonai our God is holy. Romamu by Craig Calvin.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. 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 Ki kadosh Adonai.
Now we'll turn to what I consider really to be the anthem of this preliminary service, L'cha Dodi, on page 23. And so the group Rhythm and Ruach will sing along with us, the first two stanzas and the last three stanzas on page 25.
Lecha dodi לקראתה, בני שבת נבלה. Lecha dodi לקראתה, בני שבת נבלה.
שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, ישמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ישנו לקראת שבת לכוונך, כי היא מקור הברכה, נרות מקדם לסופה, סוף מעשה במחלה תפילה.
התעוררי, כי בעורף ומאורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבהודה, פני שבת,
ben paratze ben ismecha benagila la 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 lekadoti likadika kala b'nei b'nei Shabbat lekadela lekadoti likadika kala b'nei b'nei Shabbat lekadela boi בשלום עטרת בעלה
בשמחה ובצהולה
תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך לך דודי לקראת לקראת קלה בני בני Shabbat לקרלה לך לך דודי לקראת לקראת קלה בני בני Shabbat לקרלה לה 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 לה
Let's turn to page 28 and read together in English the end of this Psalm 92. Surely your enemies, Adonai, surely your enemies will perish. All who commit evil will be scattered. As a wild bull raises up its horn, you raised my head high, anointed it with fresh oil. As my enemies gather against me, my gaze remains steady, for my ears listen and hear. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai. They flourish in our God's courtyards. In old age they remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaiming Adonai is upright, my rock, in whom there is no flaw. Let's turn to page 38. 39a, and we will read together the first bracha before the Shema. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tzevaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. El Chai v'Kayam, Tamid Yamok Aleinu Li'olam Vayed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamarib Arabim. We'll turn to page 40 before the Ahavat Olam. And let's read together in English this passage. With timeless love you have loved your people, the house of Israel. You have taught us Torah and mitzvot, statutes and laws. Therefore, Adonai our God, as we lie down and as we rise up, we shall speak of your laws, rejoicing in the words of your Torah and in your mitzvot forever and ever. For they are our life and the fullness of our days, and on them we shall meditate day and night. Do not ever withdraw your love from us. Baruch atah Adonai, who loves the people Israel. V'abatakal tasiyah memenu la'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohei ba'amo Yisrael. The Shema is on page 41. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'kol levavka, uv'kol nafshecha, uv'kol meldecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh, asher anochi mitzavka hayom al babecha, vishinantam lebanecha, v'dibata bam, v'shifteka b'beitecha, uv'lefteka b'derech, u'shochbeka uv'kumecha, u'kshatam li'ot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha, u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'bisharecha. Continue on page 42 in silence with the this end of the Shema or a meditation of your choosing. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Turn to page 44 for the Mi Chamocha, and Saul K. will help us with this passage.
Mi Chamocha Ba'alim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Nora Tehilo Sefele, Nora Tehilo Sefele, Shir HaChadash Hashem Chugeli, L'Shimchat Asfat Hayam, Yachad Kulam Hodu, Himlechu Ve'amneru. Mi Chamocha Ba'alim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Neder B'Kodesh, Nora Tehilo Sefele, Nora Tehilo Sefele. Adonai Lo Leolam Va'ed.
page 45, the Hashkivenu. And let's read together on the English side. Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us. Remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings. For you, God, watch over and deliver us. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace, now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Ufrosh aleinu sukat shalomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, haporesh sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. We turn to the top of page 46 for Vishamru, and Robbie Sherwin will sing this for us.
ושומרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לתורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לתורתם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לתורתם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לתורתם ברית עולם. לתורתם ברית עולם. לתורתם ברית עולם. לתורתם ברית עולם.
So we'll now rise for the Amidah, which extends from page 47 to page 52, or a meditation of your choosing. Okay, I'd like to turn back to page 51, the seventh bracha, the prayer for peace. Debbie Bletstein already sang it for us, but I'd just like to read it so we all understand what this is, because it's a prayer for peace and something that we all need a lot more of. Grant abundant and lasting peace to your people Israel and all who dwell on earth. For you are the sovereign master of all the ways of peace. May it please you to bless your people Israel at all times with your gift of peace. Okay, so now this is the time when the rabbi gives a sermon. And for any of you who have been with me in the past, you know that I don't give sermons. But I'd like to tell you a little bit of something that I just came across recently. And when I was a young lad, and I went to my grandfather's shul, I would see throughout the service all these old men, or they looked all old to me at that time, all those old men weaving back and forth as they prayed. And it always looked peculiar, but I sort of accepted it. And I just came across this word, shukling. And shukling comes from a Yiddish word which means to shake. And that's what that called, that backward, forward movement. Now, it's spelled in many different ways because it's really a sort of a transliteration of a Yiddish word. So, and actually, there are other possible spellings. So, but that's what it's called. It's called shukling. And it's sort of a peculiar movement. And I looked it up to try to find out what it meant. And there are, as always, in the old literature, there are multiple explanations. So one of the first explanations or justifications for this occurred when the Israelites, or the soon-to-be Israelites, were getting the Torah at Mount Sinai. They went up to Mount Sinai, approached Mount Sinai to get the Torah, and they were so nervous that they were shaking. And so it's postulated that shaking is now represented by shukling. Another explanation is that in the early, in the medieval times, and actually before the medieval era, books were very rare because we didn't have any printing presses. And so a group would be gathered around a single tome, a single book that was on a bench or even on the floor, and then everybody could see it. So that you would have sort of a rotation. First there would be a couple of people that would bend down to see it, and then they would straighten up, and the rest of the people would bend down to see the book. And so there was this alternate back and forth, up and down, which maybe is what shukling was back in the 1100s. There's one other justification or explanation that is a little bit more raunchy, and that might appeal to some of you. It is postulated that the person praying is having an affair with the Spirit of God, the Shekinah, and they're copulating. And that's what this back and forth movement is. So you pick whichever explanation you think might be appeals to you, and there might be plenty of others. But anyway, that's what it is. So when you see the old and even younger people going back and forth, they're shukling.
Michael, you see that in the Greek synagogue too?
Oh yeah. That my grandfather's shul was Greek. was filled with Greek Sephardic Jews, and that's what they would do. That was their thing. No. Sephardim do it too. I'm sorry? Okay, so now let's turn to the to page 56 for the Aleinu, and Craig Taubman is going to help us with the Aleinu. And we rise.
לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שנתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם, נטע בתוכנו אין עוד, 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 שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים אין עוד, 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 אין עוד. לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ, ומושבי קרוב בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגבי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו. אין עוד, 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 אין עוד. אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד, 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 אין עוד.
ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. May be seated. A few announcements before we get to the Mourner's Kaddish. Of course, tomorrow is service, Saturday morning service at 10 o'clock. As you know, we have reinstituted lunches, but there will be no lunch tomorrow. There is a water main break in the synagogue, so the water has been turned off until it's repaired. And so because there's no water, we can't have lunch. And of course, that also means you have to be careful in the bathroom. You have to use the buckets of water there when you do your business. So in the evening, there'll be the Havdalah service. And there's no Sunday school this Sunday for any of you who is interested. And likewise, because the rabbi will be away at the beginning of next week, there's no Tanakh study, there's no Spirit, no Hebrew adult class. And then that brings us up to next weekend, next Friday, when there will be a Tat Shabbat service, and there will be, again, a Friday night service at 6 o'clock, and the rabbi will be back to help us with that. So now we turn to page 58, the Mourner's Kaddish, and on this Friday, we honor the yortzites of those who have passed away on the last day, the 30th of Av, and the first 6 days of Elul. And we honor the yortzites of Myra Etta Lasner, Reuben Camille, Francis Aaron, excuse me, Ralph Rubin, Marion Birkin, Goldie Reddish, Ike Gerwich, Nancy Howell, Benny Friedlander, Faye Klein, Max Gottlieb, Sarah Polanski, Louise Goldreich, Elisa Weissman, Bernard Rosenthal, Bert Signoff, John Sheff. Are there any other names to mention?
James Coyne.
And at home, if you have others. So those reciting Kaddish, please rise. Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah. Amen. Ba'alma dibra kirute v'yamlik malkute b'chayechon u'byomechon u'b'chaye dekol Beit Yisrael ba'argala u'bizman karib v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mebarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitvar, v'yitroman, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitalel, v'yitala, shemei dekudisha, berichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushpchata v'nehemata, da'amiran b'yalmar, v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu, v'yal kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Peace to all those who mourn. We will conclude in just a second with the Oseh Shalom as sung by the Rhythm and Ruach group. And I hope that everyone at home has grape juice or wine and challah to do the kiddush and the chamotzi at your leisure. So we will finish then with Oseh Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.